The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Cowboys Storylines with Nick Eatman.
Good morning. It is time for Cowboys Storyline. I'm Nick Eatman, and it is October 9th, Monday morning. What was that? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what happened with the Cowboys and 49ers on Sunday night with the whole world watching, and that was about as bad as of a game you could possibly have for the Cowboys. And humbling, demoralizing, embarrassing. All of the words have been said. All of them seem to be true. And, you know, it was supposed to be a barometer game, and let's hope not from the Cowboys standpoint, because if that's the case, then obviously this is going to be a long season. This is not the team that we thought that they were. Everyone knew this was going to be a tough challenge with the 49ers because they have had the Cowboys number, and they've had everyone's number. They've been the best team in the league right now this year, but to go out and play the way they did, you thought it was going to be a statement game. Let's hope, that it wasn't. But let's talk about it. We know how we know the drill. 888-855-2297. As the lights went out here a little bit. The lights went out on the Cowboys the other night or last night as well. So all right, let's go right to the phone line. Darian in Houston, you're the first caller.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. Look, I'm going to start by saying that I'm with this team for the long haul. They're 3-2, and it's a long season. But we got beat up, man. And I'm worried about the injuries we sustained more so than the Week 5 loss. And I'm normally somebody that tries to find a way to defend our guys and look for a silver lining, but that loss is as bad as it gets. And people are going to come for Dak and McCarthy, and you know what? Anything they say will probably be warranted, and they're entitled to whatever opinion they have with this group after that showing. But if you come for those guys, you need to come for everyone else. CD could not get open. This O-line did not block well. Tony Pollard, who is now the feature back, this is what people have been asking for. He got stuffed, looked slow, looked like he wasn't running hard. He also fumbled. Micah Parsons no-showed. But I'm glad he got to get his jersey swap with McCaffrey. The D-line got taken out completely, got no pass rush. Secondary got picked apart, and then boneheaded penalties. This team no-showed at every level, and I don't think it was any one person's fault. But to me, there was a singular moment that I feel like this game was lost, and it was right before the 2-minute warning in the second quarter. We have the ball down 2 touchdowns, 4th and 2, and they decided to punt the ball. Now, granted, we're at our own 43, but not feeling like you could get 2 yards there so that you could try to score before half and then get the ball back and try to tie this thing up or get closer showed me that they just didn't have it this week. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Yep. What did you think about not going for it there? And then any updates, if you have any on the injuries, would be great. I know it's only like 12 hours after the game. But anyway, I'll hang up and listen. Thanks for the time, man.
And thank you, Darren. Thanks for the call. Great call, by the way. You hit the nail on the head, I think, in a lot of ways. I've said this statement before, and it holds true in this game. You don't have enough fingers if you're going to finger point. I mean, you just don't. You can toe point, finger point, elbow point, whatever. Everybody gets a little bit on this one, and rightfully so. I agree with you 100% about the 4th and 2. I tweeted it, and I said something to the point of, it's not ideal. I mean, you don't want to be going for it here, but being down by 14 points isn't good either. When did you think you're going to get these possessions back? It didn't add up to me. And then the next possession, they were calling timeouts and things like that. When I was thinking at that point, let's just get into halftime, But yeah, just to show the team that it's 4th and 2 and we can't get these 2 yards, so we're gonna punt it and we're gonna hope that our defense makes plays or something. But yeah, I thought that was very indicative of the entire game. That play right there, that moment where you just kind of felt like 14 points felt like 28, and over time it got there. It got to 32. Injury-wise, It's a little bit early. Leighton Vander Esch, though, I get the sense that a lot of what we saw was precautionary with his neck injury. Anytime you see any kind of neck stinger, which is what I believe he had, they're going to be very, very cautious on every player, especially a guy with the neck history like Leighton Vander Esch. I think he's going to be okay. That's my from what I was told. I don't think this is going to be a serious thing. Remember they got a game this week and then the bye. That might affect on some of these injuries. Could be a high ankle sprain on Turpin. He could be a little bit. CJ Goodwin, I know they're looking at his shoulder, arm. That one might be actually the worst of them all. But it looked bad with him limping off a lot. But I think they're not going to be too bad when it comes to injuries. Again, let's see what happens later in the day with some of these MRIs. Maybe that happened, and what McCarthy says in his press conference. All right, Raza in Virginia. Is that how I say that right? Raza?
Yeah, correct.
How you doing?
Hey, good. Long-time listener. Love your work, Nick. Great to be on the show.
Thank you.
I just want to say, man, I've been a Dak defender his whole career. It's just, I don't know if I could defend him anymore. I just want to get your thoughts on why can't we do more of the Texas part of the Texas coast, go back to what was working last year, and do you think somehow, some way we can just eat Dak's $61 million next year and then just let him play this year and next year and see what Trey Lance has got?
Yeah.
I'll listen and,
all right.
Just having a tough time. Hopefully, I know it's a long season, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's tough right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. And Dak, he didn't play well. I mean, at all. He did not play well. But again, as the first caller says, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't know who did. I don't know who played well in the game. I mean, I know Patrick Walker writes his game breaker story and he puts some guys in there. I don't know who had a great game or even a good game. That offensive line didn't. I mean, that was Dak wasn't comfortable, and I don't know how he could be, with that. And I'm not defending Dak on that. He didn't play well at all, but I mean, the offensive line didn't help much. The receivers, they didn't do a whole lot for him either. I'm just going to keep it at that right now. I'm not. I said to myself, last night and this morning that we're not going to get into a lot of off-season talk right now. It's just the narrative will change. That's how this thing goes. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on who's going to do what with contract-wise and all that. I mean, they have to beat the Chargers. That's what they have to do. They have to go beat the Chargers, and that's we'll see how they respond. They've responded well to losses in the last couple of years. That was been well documented. We'll see how they respond to this ass kicking. Basically, there's no other way to really say it. So, all right, let's go back to let's go to callers from Grapevine, Texas. Tim in Grapevine, Texas. What's up, man?
Nick, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Happy October, man. Hey, I'm going to try to stay positive. I want to say one thing and then ask you a question. So, all right. It's time. We've had enough sample size. It's time to go ahead and say what McCarthy is. He's outdated as a play caller. And I hate to be the guy to bash the coach. It's a hard job. But he may have used that year off and became less innovative. And that pains me to say because we do have a lot of talent. I mean, this is a top 5 roster in the NFL. And last night we were exposed. We were listless. It was a bad performance, and I think the offense is a reflection of McCarthy's thought process and how he wants to attack a defense, and it's just not very good.
Yeah.
So my question is, what can salvage this season? Is there anything he and Schottenheimer can do in that system to get this train rolling? And I'll hang up. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong on with obviously being frustrated, but also just from what it looks like, it just doesn't look like it was two different offenses what we saw from the 49ers. I mean, they're scheming their guys open in ways. I mean, the goal line play when there's no receivers on the field, it's just the fullback, Juszczyk, and, he's wide open. I mean, it's just, the way that they another touchdown that they had, two guys kind of going in the same direction, and then one guy peels off and Kittle's wide open. I mean, how do you scheme open like Pro Bowlers? But they do. They've got it figured out. Just the way they go in motion. I told this to Derek on the game. I mean, it's a borderline false start. I mean, really. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. I mean, I'm not saying that it's against the rules. I'm just saying the way that they've got their guys going in motion right before the snap like that. It's just very innovative, and they were on point. Last night for sure. The Cowboys were not. What they're going to do. I mean, they're going to get into the lab and figure it out. I mean, we saw with the push play that the Eagles have perfected. We saw that in the game. Like, that actually happened. That was their first down of the game. Was actually copying what's done around the league. We'll do more of that. More copying. Figure out what other people are doing and install it. Get it in play. I mean, you got a long week. I mean, I'm not saying you fix it all in 1 week, but I mean, there's different alterations that they have to do throughout the season. And Dak said it the other day that there's a lot more of this offense that hasn't been revealed. Well, it's time to start throwing some of that out, because it looked like the 49ers were 3 steps ahead of the Cowboys in every single way, especially on that defense against the offense. Now, I'll say this. The 49ers can do things on defense that other teams can't do, really, and it's because of their pass rush. They have an unbelievable pass rush. They don't have to blitz a lot. Their linebacker, Fred Warner was the best player on the field, I thought, and he has been the last couple times they faced the Cowboys. Their secondary doesn't have to be special because they can play back. They can be a little bit more conservative because they know that they have a pass rush up there. The Cowboys aren't going to see teams like that, that much, but still, the difference between what they were and what the 49ers was astronomical. And so that's the demoralizing part. It doesn't matter if you're going to face teams not as good as that. That was the elite, and the Cowboys were nowhere close to that. So to be the team that they want to be, maybe make it to the even make it to the playoffs, that's going to be something that I think that is in question right now. Because really, when you think about it, what is this team? How good are they? Like, you really don't know. Are they good at all? I mean, we just don't know that. I mean, their wins against the Giants and Patriots are not impressive, really. I mean, it was one-sided, but those teams don't look good at all. The Jets, who knows what the Jets really are right now? It's hard to kind of figure them out. I guess they did win yesterday, but the Cardinals aren't going to be a good team, and you couldn't beat them. And then, of course, you had a chance to kind of send a message and show the world what kind of team the Cowboys really were, and they laid an egg. They laid several of them. All right, Travis in San Antonio, our next call. Travis.
Hey, how's it going, Nick?
Good. How are you?
It's one of those could be better days.
Yeah.
But, it's a long season, like the other caller said. There's still a lot of football to be played, so things can change. Or narratives can change by the end of the year. But I have to, like the other caller said, the same thing. And I know we're not going to you don't want to get too much into off-season talk, but I couldn't watch the game last night and not think, like, I don't know why I got there, but I was just thinking about Dak's agent. And I was just like, if you don't get to an NFC Championship game or change the narrative, there's no way that that agent can walk into Jerry's office and you just say, this is what we want, without going, really? This game? I mean, there's no way you can't. And now there's plenty of blame to go around. However, we just know, like, the way that it works, like, you're not going to pay that guy $60 million. It's just not going to happen. And what's worse than that, the thing that was more disheartening than the injuries and all that was Micah's comments. I just were like out of left field. I didn't understand his comments as far as he was saying, like, we basically were on par with them, but we just got outplayed. Those comments were actually more of a red flag to me than anything. So I just want to see what you thought about his comments.
Yeah.
And have a great week.
Thank you. I was kind of bouncing around in the locker room, trying to listen to, you know, I have 4 or 5 guys talking at once sometimes. And so, you know, I was listening to some. I know we had another one of our writers in there. But I heard some things like that, and I also heard, like, this is a blessing, you know, a game like this is a blessing, and I was like, it felt like a curse. I mean, it didn't feel like a blessing. I didn't hear all of the comments that he was making. I did read that one, though, the one you're talking about basically saying that we, you know, they got this one, but we feel like it's about the same. I mean, I think you do that when you lose in overtime. You know, and maybe you do that in last year's game. I could see a comment like that in last year's game. I thought the Cowboys were right there with them. I thought they had some unfortunate, you know, things, bad breaks that happened in the game last year that you could kind of say that. And it got me thinking that going into this game that, you know, the Cowboys were right there. That's why I picked them to win. I didn't feel great about it, but I picked them to win because I said, you know what? They were there last year. They could have won that game. They've gotten, you know, they've done things to make this better, a better football team. But what's happening is I don't know if they are better. They don't look better than they did last year. I mean, this team, now the defense, you know, the defense plays really well, but, you know, they can't keep sustaining injuries. I mean, let's face it, the Trayvon Diggs injury was really it hurts this team. I mean, well, of course it does. He's an all-pro corner. And we saw it in the game last night when you're going up against a team that has a lot of weapons. I mean, you have to match them with the defensive playmakers. And so, yeah, Bland and Gilmore are good, but I mean, they were good for 2 and 3 on your depth chart, not necessarily 1 and 2. And so that's something that's not going to get fixed. I mean, they got to get better than that. But, yeah, I'm just not here for the Dak talk right now. Long term, I mean, just because it isn't long term. It isn't long term. Unless you're calling me. If you're going to call and say, hey, Cooper Rush should start Monday night against the Chargers, then say that. Because that's kind of where we are. We're still early October. That's what this is. This is not a January conversation. And because I know how this goes. I'm not ducking the question. But if Dak goes out and plays lights out against the Chargers or any other game, and they win some games and they start, you know, getting this thing rolling, and no one's going to be saying that as much. It's like, well, maybe they should do this and this. Maybe they'll work with them. I mean, because we got too much football to go to be talking about things that aren't going to be changing right this second. So I think we need to figure out and focus on the stuff that could be changing. All right, Fernando in Miami. Fernando, next caller.
Hey, Dick, thank you for taking my call. I think I know what could change everything here.
Okay.
I'm 58 years old.
Okay.
I've been watching the Cowboys. I think my first time with the Cowboys was in 75. I got through the 80s, the 90s, and now. I think what's killing us in the red zone during the game, this thing that we draft tackles and we try to turn them into guards. You've got Tyler Smith, who's blocking guys that are 240, 250. He's a tackle, and he's doing the pancakes on them. Now we're like, oh, this guy could do this. They'll go block Sue, you know, who's 330, and he can't do it. And that's the thing. They get Hakeem Richards. Oh, let's try him at guard. When you're a guard, you're a guard. When you're a tackle, you're a tackle. It's different body types. You got to be able to move your feet. I think that's why we're not blowing holes open. We can't get in the red zone. We're having problems. It's changing players to do that. I mean, I think it's horrible. Draft a guard and draft a tackle. They did that in the 90s. They didn't get Eric Williams and try to make him a guard. You know, it was you're a tackle, you're a tackle, you're a guard, you're a guard. The backups were guards and the backups were tackles. It wasn't this flip-flop thing they got going now. That's why they can't run the ball, and that's it. What do you think?
I don't necessarily agree with that part about, I mean, comparing him to the 90s. I mean, Nate Newton was a tackle, and they made him a guard. They drafted Larry Allen as a tackle, and he's a guard. I mean, I think if you can block, you can block. I mean, I really do. There is more to it than that. I'm not just saying, I mean, there's a reason why Zach Martin doesn't want to play tackle. He wants to play guard. I mean, it's not the same position. I understand that. But I don't look at this game. I don't look at the game and go, man, they need to move Tyler Smith out to tackle. You know, he's not getting it done. Again, there's just not enough fingers to go around. That offensive line, though, wasn't blocking. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the offensive line, it wasn't what we were hoping for when we were like, oh, we got these 5 guys. They're all back. They're ready to go. It certainly wasn't what they expected. I can't go with you there on just the Tyler Smith part. I think he's been really good at guard this season. He wasn't. I haven't looked at the tape to go, he wasn't good, but nobody was. I mean, nobody was moving the ball. Nobody blocked. Nobody ran well. Dak didn't have a good game at all. Dak did not play well. He knows that. He said that. The receivers weren't getting open. Just you can go down the line. I mean, I'll be done with the show if I go through every single person out there. You know, it was as bad as it gets. It was as bad as it gets, and the 49ers were just flawless. And the Cowboys just couldn't do anything right. And you add that up, and you get a 42-10 blowout win, like they got. All right, got a couple of questions here, text questions. This is JD from North Carolina. Was there an injury to Dak's throwing hand? TV suggested there was one. I think he got a cut on his middle finger, I think that's what it was. I mean, he dismissed it afterwards. He said, "Well, you know, the touchdown came after that." You know, so, you know, I mean, that was, I don't think it mattered too much. I mean, certainly when you're holding the football and you don't want to have tape on there, but I don't think it affected too many things. He didn't say that. He downplayed that for sure. All right, let's go back to the line. Brian in Kansas City. Brian, you're next.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Brian.
Well, you know, to borrow from the old Belichick line, we're on to the Chargers.
Yeah.
You know the last caller, I do agree that I 100% all night thought we lost the game in the trenches. And I'm an older guy. I'm 56. I've been watching the Cowboys forever. And I'm kind of the Parcells era, you know, everything is won and lost in the trenches kind of thinking. And I 100% thought we lost the game in the trenches. At no point did our defensive line look intimidating, and our offensive line just looked out of sync. So that was my thoughts while I was listening to the last guy. So, you know, here's where I'm at with what's going on now is very quickly after having two really surprisingly bad losses to – the Niners, not that we couldn't lose to them, but in the way we did and just losing to Arizona, period. I think we're going to hear a lot of this person's on the hot seat, whoever it is, you know, whether it's McCarthy, Dak,
right?
You know, the people that get the blame when these things happen. And, you know, they can respond and, you know, pull out with a couple of good games and maybe that'll quiet it. But I think that's kind of where we're at right now, and you hope for the best. But you know, they put on the tape from these two games that they lost was just awful. And you know, we'll try to clean it up, come back on Monday night, and see what we can do.
Right.
And not overreact. I lived through the '89 season, and that was as bad as it gets. So
yeah.
Anyway, those are my thoughts, brother. I hope you have a good week. Thanks for taking the call, man.
Thank you, Brian. You know, and let me go back to the last caller as well, though. I mean, like, I don't disagree with you about the offensive line and getting beat in the trenches. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying about the needing to make a change there. And it starts, you know, in the line. I mean, because they did not block up front. The running game was non-existent. You know, Tony Pollard, he doesn't look the same as you know, and this is not this should not be a surprise because, I mean, I heard Skip Pete, the former running backs coach, say this multiple times in the last 2 years. Like, it needs to be Zeke and then Pollard. It's not just it's not, I mean, Pollard will not be as effective if you make him the lead running back. That's what he said over and over, and we're kind of seeing it now. I mean, it's different when you're taking all of the hits, and not just the hits with the ball, but having to step up and block and do all those things. I mean, it's a wear and tear on your body that his body just doesn't look like it would hold up. And he's never been that guy. Even in high school, he split carries. He split carries at Memphis. He split carries, early in his career here. So it's he probably needs to split more carries. But the holes really weren't there. Even the ones that Rico Dowdle was trying to run through. I mean, like, he was running through people, and they're just not schemed up and have these wide open gaping holes. It's not there. And so the when the changes, this week when they're trying to correct things, offensive line's got to be right there with everything else. All right, let's take a break real quick. We'll come right back on Cowboy Storyline. I do have a couple of callers already on the line. We'll be right back here, Cowboy Storyline.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time. But what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to Cowboys Storylines.
Welcome back, Cowboys Storyline here, second half of the show, and you can just kind of hear it in the voices of the callers. And that was a tough one. I appreciate you guys calling, though. I appreciate you guys trying to figure this out. It's not easy. I did not expect to be done with my column at the end of the game last night. I thought, usually it was going to be one of those last-second things. You ride on the plane and all that, but felt like a preseason game from the standpoint of being able to be finished because it didn't take long to really get the story of the game. And the 49ers just outclassed them in every way. I mean, they just were so much better, and it's back to the drawing board now. I mean, it should be at least to try to figure out how to fix this issue. All right. Before we go to the calls, I do have a couple of text questions. 915 area code. It says, does moving the pocket help Dak in the offense, maybe getting more play action in the game plan? But the play action works when you run. I mean, like when you could run the ball and then teams are kind of worried about your run and then they suck down, the safeties and linebackers to make sure and stop that. And that's where you go play action. But if you're not running the football, they're not worried about your play fakes. There was times in the game where I thought Dak is over here faking too long. Like start throwing it because Bosa's like right behind you. Like, why are you still trying to run a fake when the running back's not even there anymore? And so I think that part needs to get cleaned up. But I mean, it does start with running the football. All right, next caller, Rob in Vegas. Rob, what's up?
Hey, Nick.
Hey.
So let's talk about Cooper Rush because I think he's a better fit for this offense.
Okay.
The thing that we kept saying, what separates them as well, Dak is much more mobile. No, he's not. Dak doesn't move anymore. Dak doesn't run. I think Cooper Rush would be better mentally for this offense, and I think he has a better arm. I mean, you're asking Dak to be a game manager. He used to be an athletic quarterback, and he regressed. He looks like a shot fighter. I mean, he totally went back to the old Dak when the heat was on, just throwing the ball up, 3 picks, and they weren't even, sometimes I give the quarterback, that's not on the quarterback. Those were bad picks. So I think Cooper Rush would be a better fit. He was a great game manager last year, and he went, I believe, 4-1. So, but they're not going to do that, of course, because they're paying Dak way too much money. But I do think Cooper Rush would be a better fit. And I think McCarthy has no confidence in Dak. That's why he calls the game the way he does. And I got to tell you, the guy that I'd lost a lot of, is for Micah Parsons. What are you doing exchanging jerseys at the end of the game when you just got killed 42-10? And those comparisons to LT, they need to stop right now, because the difference is LT played the run, the pass, he played everything, and he would build his players up. If you watched Micah Parsons yesterday, he was disinterested after the first quarter. It's like if he's not getting to the quarterback and he's not crawling on the ground, he doesn't want to do any of that other stuff. He doesn't want to play the run. He doesn't want to get beat up, and I understand he's too small. So they either got to play him at linebacker or he's got to gain 30 pounds if he's going to be on the line. But doing this to him right now, because I'm sure next week they're going to do the same thing. They're going to run right at him. The Cardinals ran right at him. And that's what teams are going to do. They're not going to let him chase them down. So the Cowboys need to figure out what they're going to do with Mike Pope. But he needs to grow up and stop with the podcast and the exchange of jerseys. Bro, he just got dominated in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
Show some pride.
Yeah, well, let's. Thanks for the call. The jersey thing. Let's not just single him out. Okay, Luke Schoonmaker was walking off with a red jersey hanging off his shoulder. They all do it. Okay, they all do it, and I don't necessarily understand it or agree with it. I feel like if you can get jerseys. You guys get jerseys all the time. You guys get jerseys in different ways. I don't know why it has to be right then in the game. And that's just the nature of it. If fans actually saw and knew how things went, like after the game and on the plane and stuff like that, there would be a lot of guys even more upset than what it is, because the players are built differently when it comes to that. So I don't necessarily agree with it. I think it looks bad. I think it's a terrible look. I saw it against Arizona when Chuma Edoga did not have a good game at all, and walking off with a red jersey, and you just kind of, it's different. But players are built differently that way. You can't get into the mind of that. So I'm not gonna single out anybody, because that's how a lot of them are. Micah, though, I mean, I don't care about the podcast. I don't care about all that stuff. I mean, he's got to play better, though. That he's got to play better. He can't sit there and talk about wanting to be why he's not getting mentioned for MVP instead of Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's talked about that kind of stuff. I mean, the Defensive Player of the Year might have been playing last night. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Fred Warner was unblockable. I mean, he set the tone. He reminded me of Troy Polamalu back in the day when he was just everywhere. He was running. He was stopping the runs, pass, everything. But to go back to the main thing that Rob said was Cooper Rush, and that's the thing. If you're gonna come in and talk about Dak, I mean, that's the option. If you want to say that, I'll put you down. I'll write you down for that. I don't think they're gonna make that change, but that's what would have to happen is they're gonna have to go and put a different quarterback in. And I don't know if it would be Cooper Rush. I don't know if it would be Trey Lance. I don't think they're ready to make that move. I think you need to see some consistency in a bad way of this being more of a pattern to make that change. But certainly, and I think before McCarthy starts pulling, the quarterback and all that, I think that they need to fix the offense as well. Like fix the play call, change that up. You might see that change maybe. Maybe you see a change in play callers. Something's got to happen though. You can't just get beat 42-10 in the biggest early test of the season and say, we'll do better next week. I mean, better will get you beat by 20. Okay, I mean, you got beat by 32. It needs to be appreciably better. There needs to be some changes here. I think the bye week's going to come at the right time. Maybe the Cowboys can do some of those big changes in that time. All right, Andrew in Colorado. Andrew, what's up?
Hey, good morning, Nick. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I've always kind of been a Dak apologist. I heard Nick Harris say it on Talking Cowboys this morning. And, I am kind of agreeing with him, but our mindset is kind of changing in regards to can Dak actually do this. However, I don't think they set him up for success last night. And my observation being you got to get Dak on the move, but with the play call. I think he was staying alongside, hugging the line of scrimmage, trying to make that play, look downfield, all this stuff. Just take a run. Take 3. Take 4, Keep those down and distance and manageable positions, because I also hear from other folks on other shows too saying like this whole West Coast offense is predicated on short yardage. So keep it short, take what the defense gives you, get those first down opportunities and keep the ball moving. I see other quarterbacks across the league do it, run, take what they get, and then keep the down and distance short, right? And then my question to you is, this feels very, very similar to 2018 when the Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper. Not because we're in lack of a passing game right now, but just we need a splash to change something up with the pieces that we have currently on the defensive side of the ball. Even though we're missing Trayvon Diggs, we still got talent. Does that feel like we're there quite yet? Could we be there soon, maybe during the bye week? What do you think? Thanks, man.
Thank you. They're always gonna say that they'll be looking for trades or looking for to try to help the team, and so they'll have their eyes open for situations like that. I'd be careful doing that though, just because it needs if you're going to do a trade, you need to trade for someone that is going to be a part of this team for a while, because that's what happened. They traded for Amari Cooper, but they kept saying, well, he's 24 years old, so he's going to be here. But he was only here for three seasons or so. So you've got to make sure that you have a lot of holes to fill. You got to keep getting better, and so you're going to have to probably trade a draft pick or two to get somebody like a splash that you say. Your other part of the call about this offense, Texas Coast, keeping it short. Against the 49ers, you've got to have guys that can break tackles, though, because 3-yard passes have to go. I mean, it has to go get 10 yards. You can't just throw it 3 yards and get tackled at the line of scrimmage. I mean, tackled right there on the spot and expect to do anything. A big example to that was the one that one of the previous callers talked about, the 4th and 2 before halftime, the 2-minute warning, where the Cowboys decided not to go for it. Well, before that, it was 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, and Dak threw underneath to Ferguson. He kind of rushed it and he threw it underneath. Ferguson caught it, was tackled immediately, and they're not throwing it at the sticks, and so that play call to me suggested that, okay, you're going to try to get a little bit so you can have a more manageable 4th down, but then when you go and punt, it doesn't make any sense at all. So they are lacking some playmakers. And I thought that was going to be something that would be addressed from last year, but that was a huge difference in the game. They don't have the type of playmakers that they need to compete in a game like that, to help your quarterback throw the ball, turn around, make some plays. I mean, the way that this offense is designed and the way Dak is playing, he definitely needs more help, and he's not getting it. So it's a big problem. I mean, it seems like a chicken and egg type of thing, really. Is it the playmakers, or is it Dak? Is it the play calling? Is it both? I mean, there's a lot going on here. All right, Ronnie in New Jersey. Is that right, Ronnie?
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
Sir. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good. Thanks for calling.
No, thank you. Nick, first thing, I called last week and I asked Darren Woodson about who the offensive line had to have that mentality, and he said Tyron Smith. I believe Tyron Smith played well last night. I saw him play, and he played well. Now, Tyler, he got beat on one play. Like, everybody's calling, saying, oh, Tyler, got to make a guard, a tackle, a tackle. No, man. Tyler had one bad play. Now, the other tackle, he got beat a few times. But the O-line, from what I heard, this was the first week they've been together in 2 years. 2 years. So with that, the more they play together, the better they're going to get. But Dak, I don't agree with you when you said that if he comes out and plays lights out for the next few weeks and has great games, we're all on the bandwagon again. I don't believe it, because all year he just hasn't been. He's been throwing bad throws. He's been lucky that they haven't been catching the ball. The other teams, they dropped the ball a few times. He's been making the same mistakes that the 49ers always seem to expose him on. That's my opinion. Dak is who he is. Now, playmakers, that's what you said we had. I mean, everybody said we had when we got the wide receiver. They're just not using him the right way. They're not using this whole offense the right way. That's what I see. What do you think?
Well, I mean, thanks
for taking my call.
Thanks for the call. I mean, yeah, I don't know if they're getting open, and the right way. But there are some throws that the Cowboys just don't make. I mean, that Dak doesn't make, that they don't call. You watch the game and you see what Purdy, see some of the plays that Purdy throws, deep crossing routes over the middle. That's not this offense. And maybe it would be with a different quarterback. I don't know that. All I'm saying is that those are certain throws they don't even attempt. But like Cooks was here so he could be a speed guy. And here he is. I mean, they get him on a mismatch with Fred Warner, who's doing everything, but he can't run with Brandon Cooks, and Cooks runs right by him. And Dak throws it to the cheerleaders. I mean, like that was a huge moment in the game. It was one of my 5 plays that I pointed out, is that you schemed it up where you could get your guy on a linebacker, and he's running free down the field, and you don't even give him a chance. That one was huge. There's 53 yards of field, and you don't give him any of that, and you throw it out of bounds. I thought that one was a huge miss opportunity in the game for Dak. But I mean, my point is that I don't think that you're going to be sitting here talking about contract if he does play well, if he plays like we've seen him play. Like, it's don't act like he doesn't play well, like he hasn't had these moments. So my point is that there's a lot of season left. There's 12 games to go. And so what we think things are going to be right now, it's going to be different. It's going to be different later on in the year. Let's let it play out. There's no reason to sit here and talk about contracts at this moment. If you're going to talk about changing the quarterback, then fine, say that, which one of the callers did. But I as for like how things are going to be in January, I just don't think we're there for that. All right, Blake in Phoenix. Blake, what's up?
Hi, this might be a little repeat after the last few callers.
That's all right.
But I was kind of just going to see what you thought about the QB situation, just because it's been 3 years of being decent but not good enough. Granted, last year I know the statistics were good on paper, but then you go to the SF game and it's a completely different story. We've changed the offensive coordinator. We've put a bunch of talent. Zeke's gone now too. We're supposed to have a decent running back with rotation, right? And then it's like we still are not able to beat these like top teams, and so I just was curious, like how you think that reflects Dak, and just his. Do you think his play style fits the West Coast kind of scheme? I guess.
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer right now. Because it's still. It's still early enough in this season where it's just tough to figure out what his style is compared to what it's been in the past. I mean, I don't have a great answer for you. I really don't. I mean, I know this offense is struggling. It's struggling to move the ball. You can blame every area. You can blame the receivers, the runners, the offensive line, Dak, tight ends. Like they just don't seem to have anything that they can just kind of lean on. And when it comes to the offense, and I know that was a question that was asked in the locker room a couple of times about offensive identity. What's the identity and all that? And they just don't have something that you can say, all right, get the ball to Pollard and let him do his thing, or get Dak on the move. Or, what is it? And that was going back to the callers before about 4th and 2. They just don't have a play for it. They didn't have a play for it, and that right there kind of shows that, it was an uphill battle for sure. All right, let me get one more caller in, and we'll finish the show. Sam in Philly. Sam, what's up, man? You there? Nope. Hanging up. That's okay. Hello?
Here he is.
Hey, Sam.
Hello?
Hey, Sam.
Hey, what's going, man? I don't know what all this talk is about Dak. This is what Dak was going to be, dude. He was drafted in the 4th round. His best attribute was supposed to be running the ball. That's how he got to the NFL. Nobody wanted him in the first 3 rounds. This is why. And now we're saying because he doesn't run anymore, he snapped his ankle, he doesn't do that anymore, so this is what you get now. You can change everything around. They've been changing things around him this whole time, and it's still the same thing. He doesn't get rid of the ball fast enough. He doesn't know what he's looking at. That's what it looks like on TV. It looks like he doesn't know what he's looking at. So it's frustrating, dude.
Yeah.
They need to start looking for a new quarterback. I'm sorry to say that. Dude, the defense got deflated. They're on the field all night. The first 2 quarters on the field all night. They can't get a first down. Yeah. And they're an emotional defense. They're a bunch of emotional guys on defense. If they see that things aren't going right, they shut down too. And that's a problem too. But I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, well, that's it in a nutshell. That's it. And I say that from a caller standpoint, that's what Monday morning feels like after 42-10. And I bet you Sam in Philly, having to be in Philly is not a great place to be. Being a Cowboy fan in Philly, especially after a game like this. I don't know if they're looking for another quarterback. They probably. I'm not going to say that they are. I'm just saying that you're always looking for that. You're always looking for your next move. You're always trying to figure that out. So I don't think those are conversations necessarily that are having right now, but you have to look down the line. And I know I said we're not going to sit here and talk about it, but that's not for us to do. The decision makers are the ones that need to talk about that. But they more than anything need to figure out how to fix it for right now. Fix this thing, turn it around, figure out how to go beat the Chargers in 7 days now. Next Monday. You got to go win that game. You got to go. You made the decision to not have Kellen Moore and call the plays, and now he's calling the plays with the Chargers, and you're calling the plays here, and it's not working out. And guess what? You get to play him, and we get to talk about it on Monday night, and that's what's going to happen. And so this was a barometer game, and the Cowboys failed. Well, they got another one coming up here right before the bye, because you go lose to the Chargers, and we have to sit and talk about it for 14 days. There's going to be there will be some changes after that. So I don't know if last night's game was the biggest game of the year. I think this one might be, though. This one might be way bigger than that, because if the Cowboys are anything close to the team they want to be, they need to figure out how to get up, dust themselves off, get that. It's not even a bloody lip. They got a lot of bumps and bruises from last night. Figure that out and go beat the Chargers and go win a game up there. If they can do that, then it might save the season. But as it stands right now, this was a terrible loss. You guys, I appreciate all the callers that called in today. Not feeling good this Monday morning, and they really shouldn't. But again, long season. We'll see if the Cowboys have what it takes to turn this thing around. All right, we're going to turn this around too. The Cowboys break will be coming. That's going to be interesting to hear what they say. I'm going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow on Cowboys Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!